What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today I am going to be doing a 2-round mock draft split up into 2 days, but we have some trades in this, so you guys do not want to miss out. Feel free to stick around, like, comment, subscribe. I post content like this almost every single day. That I don't have exams. Actually, it's a lie. I have an exam today, tomorrow, and I did yesterday, but I love you guys, and this is honestly some of the best parts of my day, being able to interact with you guys. So I would love for you guys to continue talking to me down below. It is always fun. Don't be a dick about it. I like to make good content for you, so help guide me so that you guys get to enjoy some good content too. Let's jump right into this, starting off with the number 1 overall pick. The Chicago Bears. I'm definitely doing a trade. I even did it in my no trades mock yesterday, which you can do, which you guys can check out. But obviously, I don't know why the hell PFF has something up their ass when it comes to, trying to trade with stupid teams. But I do think there are a couple teams to note here. Geno just signed a 3-year contract, so not going to be leveraging my entire franchise on that. Although I do think it's a good amount of time in case AR were there. I'm going to give you guys a spoiler alert. He is not going to be there. So for me, I'm definitely going to be aiming at a team like the Panthers to be moving up to 1. I did hear that the Falcons are interested in Lamar Jackson, so we could feature that in the future if that starts picking up some more steam. Obviously, I think the Raiders could also be a team vying for 1, but I just don't know if they want to spend that type of draft capital. And the Bears, I'm thinking that they are going to be looking for that early second round pick, as well as picks in the future. And I'm just going to do what I did yesterday. And I have no idea why in tarnations they do not have the Carolina Panthers on a short list of teams trying to move up to 1. But this is a team that is definitely, you have Frank Reich, so you want to make that instant splash. There's only one quarterback that is above 6 feet that is probably going to make an instant impact, and that's going to be CJ Stroud. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to say that the Bears are looking for future draft capital. Rather than going a 1-2, 1-3, they're going to go a 1-2, 1, and then a future 2. You guys can argue about that all you want. It's not going to affect this mock draft, but for me, I think that is going to be a very smart move overall for both sides, because the Panthers, you still keep a second-round pick, and then also the Bears, you end up getting future draft capital. And for me, I mean, especially since Derek Carr's in the division, there's no guarantee that this team could win it. I think that the Colts could win it if you trade back with them. I think the Texans could win it if they're able to move up and get their guy. You could do a 1-2 trade there. I'll do that in the future. Don't really want to do it with this one, but yeah, definitely the Bears being able to get that draft capital is a very good idea. But this pick, I think that CJ Stroud might have solidified himself as a front runner for that number 1 overall pick because of how accurate he is. I think Frank Reich can work with the rest. I honestly am pretty damn confident that CJ goes there. He might pan out as the best QB in the class. And you guys know me, I'm not number 1 on CJ. But, I mean, to be fair, he is number 10 on my big board. So definitely a lot higher than the haters. But in the right situation, he's going to succeed. And it's this one or Indy. This pick, I'm going to be going after Bryce Young out of Alabama. I just think that there's way too much going on Bryce's shoulders in terms of the momentum for him being that number 1 overall pick. I just think that the size of CJ Stroud at 6'3" might be the more intriguing option. But Bryce Young did come in over 200 pounds. Granted, he probably ate 1,000 cheeseburgers before that, so that's why he probably did not test. But, he still is at least proven to be able to reach that weight, whether that weight is from water weight, food weight, or not. All the players are doing it, so it's at least good to see that he has that capacity. Pick number 3. I'm trading this pick back all day. All day I'm moving this pick. And there are a multitude of teams that I think could try to make a move for this pick. Anthony Richardson's on the board, so I could totally see a team like Seattle trying to move up for it, but Arizona's in their division. The last thing, if I'm Arizona, the last thing I'm going to do is let Seattle move up and be able to select their franchise quarterback. So what I want to do is make sure that the quarterbacks go potentially 1 through 4. And even if not, I don't want Anthony Richardson to be that guy. So other teams that could be interested in AR, I could totally see the Titans trying to work with it. Obviously, they've been trying to shop around. The Jets could be an intriguing option for a big move up. Obviously, I could totally see the Eagles being like, okay, we want to move up and we want to select Will Anderson. But I think just a super smart move, and I didn't do this with the Bears, but I'm going to do it right now, is actually have a double move down. And the Cardinals are going to be making this move here. I think just the best thing for the Cardinals is to get more draft capital, and it'll only cost, in my opinion, a third round pick. It could cost a second. So, like, if you guys really want to be anal about it, you could toss in 2/3. But this is just a way that the Colts are able to make a micro move up to still select the guy who I think I'd potentially take at number 1 for them, and that is Anthony Richardson. So the Colts give up very little, still get their guy, and then the Cardinals still able to acquire a significant amount of draft capital for the pick. I mean, you didn't lose on anything. Now, at this spot, you have a debate. At number 5, you're going to be giving Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, or Will Levis. And Jalen Carter has his own personality concerns. I think that's pretty obvious that he'll probably go there. So I think that a smart move potentially would be for the Eagles to make a move up here. I don't think it's going to cost as much as people think because there is that one QB left, but I feel like that QB is getting a little bit less hype than expected. Jalen Carter would be great on the Eagles because you have that Georgia connection, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm really trying to get a team to move up for Will Anderson, and I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to do it, but not with the Eagles. I'm going to do it with the Detroit Lions. I think that's a very smart move by them. I think it's a smart move by the Cardinals as well because we are going to toss in that second round pick. The Cardinals need quantity more than quality. This is a perfect spot to be able to snag some very high level players. And the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, do not have that many significant issues. You could go Jalen Carter here for sure. But for me, there's a lot of issues potentially being around Jalen Carter's work ethic. And if I know anything, I know Dan Campbell really respects those type of alpha level mentalities. I think Will Anderson is one of those. So for me, I'm going to be going Will Anderson Jr. here for the Lions, leaving at pick number 5 an option between Jalen Carter and Will Levis. Will Levis is older, so I do believe that based on the 3-year contract by Geno, which essentially I believe is his pretty much majority front weighted on the first year, I just don't really think you need to do that. There are still teams looking for a guy like Jalen Carter, and I want to see a team that potentially needs that QB to move up, and I want to get a future first round pick out of it. And I'm looking at teams like the Raiders, and for me, I would want to secure my QB for them. This is an interesting idea, but I think that the Raiders are looking for more of an instant impact, and I want to hear what you guys think about this. This is going to be an insane trade. I do this all live, but I am actually going to be asking for a future first, and I'm going to be offering one of my second round picks. So technically, the Raiders are increasing the amount of picks in this draft. Their roster is bare thin, and I think that pick will definitely help them out. We're going to force this through because I do think it's a unique idea because you're going to lose out on Aaron Rodgers. It appears to be that way. And I'm going to select Will Levis out of Kentucky. I just have a weird feeling that it's going to be that desperate for a QB. I personally would wait, but it's just another way of securing your guy to make sure that you're in the perfect situation. Now at pick number 6, we might do one more trade down. But you could go after Jalen Carter at this point. Obviously, Gannon was able to use a Georgia defensive interior last year. I think that's a smart move. Let's go after Jalen Carter here. Now it's like kind of, up in the air. You've already gotten your future picks, and it's just a really nice spot for you to test out on somebody that might not be able to stick around. It really depends. I'm going to be optimistic and say that everything's going to be fine, but obviously, there's that potential concern. So we'll see what happens, but Jalen Carter could definitely be one of those guys where it's like, yeah, that was a great decision. But at pick number 7, we moved back, and I think the right thing to do at this point is to draft a player like Tyree Wilson. Just be able to get that young, super athletic, developmental player that has a really good run stuffing ability and is also produced as a pass rusher, even though I still think he's pretty raw there. Pick number 8 for the Falcons. I think Devon Witherspoon just makes too much sense for them here. The fact is that one of his defensive coaches is an assistant now on the defense, so there's already that connection there. They are looking for it. I just did a Falcons mock draft with an insider, so that was the guy he was heavily pulling for based on those connections as well. For the Bears at pick number 9, I could totally see them try to move back here as well. You got guys like Joey Porter on the board, and for teams that are looking for a top tier corner, could totally see them try to make a move here. But I just don't really know if there's anybody worth it at this point. I think this the right move might be to go Myles Murphy and just be able to snag a top level, high floor defensive player. Other positions that the Bears could try to address, you could go offensive line here. That's never a bad thing. You could try to address something on the defensive line like we're about to do. So it's really up in the air. But for me, I think Myles Murphy is starting to pick up a little bit more speed because people are going to review what he was in 2021 and see that he could be that truly special prospect. Pick number 10 for Philadelphia. You guys just switched to a 4-3, or excuse me, a 3-4 under Desai. So I do think I really like this idea of going Nolan Smith. However, I don't see him being taken for a little while. So I personally would want to trade back. There's some really good wide receivers on the board. I totally would try to, put myself in the right position and get one of these guys off the board. Get a top tier corner off the board. Joey Porter Jr. is a little too good to pass on. That's the only thing that's giving me pause, is maybe saying, okay, well, JPJ's here is my number 2 player in the class. I definitely would want to trade back, but because that's the Howie thing to do. It is to trade back, but I don't see anybody except JPJ being worth moving up for it. I don't see many teams being that eager to move up for him. So we're going to go JPJ. The only reason I say that is because there's a lot of really good corners in this class. So maybe you can move back. I think it's smart for the Eagles to at least think about it. But if a team's saying, okay, well, I think Joey Porter Jr. is 100 out of 100, well, maybe they'll think Christian Gonzalez is a 90 or a 95 out of 100, and they don't have to spend a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick moving up to get him. It just makes a lot more sense to have, hey, now I can get an extra offensive lineman, or I can get an extra safety, or an extra linebacker, as well as Christian Gonzalez. So that's where my head's at right now. Let me know what you guys think about it. But at pick number 11, I don't think that's much of a debate. We need to go offensive line here. And I think the right thing to do is to go Paris Johnson. Well, I think the right thing, if you're trying to be realistic, is to go Paris Johnson. 36-inch arms. He tested out very well overall. He's obviously a very, very talented player. They took the left tackle at Ohio State last year with Nicholas Petit-Frere. They're going to do the same this year. Pick number 12. I'm starting to love the idea of going back to this Peter Skoronski mold. I love that pick so much. Of course, you could try to go after an edge rusher here in Lucas Van Ness, but 17 reps on the bench press kind of scares the shit out of me for a player whose primary success, his primary strength is power. So I'm curious more. Like, I was bringing up the fact that he's bullying tackles that have absolute no anchor. That might be, it might be pretty obvious that that's exactly what's happening. And if you are looking at D'Amico Ryans, he might say, hey, like, I'm a defensive guy, but I also came from a system that valued offensive line very heavily. Like, the offensive line there in San Francisco was impeccable. And building through the trenches is a very smart mindset. To me, I think that is the right thing to do. Peter Skoronski is someone who can eventually play tackle, but at sub 33-inch arms, he is perfect, especially in the short run. The plug is a guard or a center, and that's a pretty big hole on your offensive line. And I think Peter Skoronski is arguably the best offensive lineman in the class, and I do think he's really awesome. To me, he does have that separation, and it's literally from number 6 on my board down to 16, and I'm higher on some players than others. There's a significant gap, in my opinion, of the pure talent, but perceived talent, Paris Johnson's going to be up there. Pick number 13, I am going to trade this pick to the Packers. I think that it's just so obvious that Aaron Rodgers is going to be he's going to be the pick, and it's not going to require anything from Green Bay. It seems like the price tag might be lower, but I just can't fathom that Russell Wilson, definitely not in his prime, needing a new contract, would go for essentially 3 first-round picks. And so they're not interested in trading for just this pick. Love that. See, like, even I'm trying to be optimistic here, saying it's just going to be 1 first. I just totally believe that is going to be what they're going to do. So at pick number 13, I think Quentin Johnston's a great target. I feel like it would be really funny and it'd be a way to just say screw you to Aaron Rodgers to grab a wide receiver at this pick. You could go Jackson Smith and Jigba for sure, but honestly, let's have a little bit of fun here. I don't think they go. I mean, it's within their character to go defense twice in the first round when they need offense. But I am going to be optimistic that they do the right thing and go after a player who over 40-inch vertical plays absolutely phenomenally. He played much better than he should have there at TCU in Quentin Johnston. For the Patriots, I think offensive line is the right way to go. You have a great selection of some top tier tackles. I am going to go after a guy who tested very well in Broderick Jones. Pick number 15, we are back with the Packers. And I think you could build through the trenches with Lucas Van Ness because I don't think Brian Branch tested well enough. And neither did Lucas Van Ness, to be fair. But he did show very good testing in areas of weakness as well. So kind of was weak in the areas of strength and strong in the areas that he was weak in his game. So we'll see if that eventually balances out and he can get good in both. But it just definitely feels like Lucas Van Ness. He is very, very athletic. I'm just talking about that pure strength and the explosiveness. A bit underwhelming. Pick number 16, I think Christian Gonzalez is a good move here. I know that you guys are saying offensive line, but apart from Darnell Wright potentially being a good option to kick into guard for a short term, because apparently a lot of teams love that. I don't know if you guys saw Osiris Torrance's vertical, but it's safe to say that I have jumped a higher vertical. And one, you can see what I am. We can't jump. But two, I never trained in a vertical. Yes, he is double my weight. But you can't jump over 23 inches? Like, that is ridiculous. I had 0 hops. Like, I was 210 pounds with a higher vertical than Osiris Torrance. I was obese with a higher vertical than Osiris Torrance. That's bad. I mean, like, it's not the end all be all, of course, because you see guys like Orlando Brown Jr. who tested very poorly and they still have a successful NFL career. But there ain't no way in hell that he should be remotely considered for this number 16 overall pick. And you could try to convince me that linebackers in play here. They didn't really, I mean, hopefully you guys learned your lesson from last time. So for me, I mean, you could look at Bijan to be just that pure 5-star back. And, you know, that could be a way that you kind of like have Sam Howell and then Bijan. You could see if they have that young one too. Or you can just try to develop an offensive lineman. And for me, it's Anton Harrison or Darnell Wright. You could go corner again, but for me, I'm looking at Anton. He is very, very solid. I really do like Anton Harrison. He's literally tied at like 16 and 17 is Darnell, as well as Anton Harrison. Christian Gonzalez is falling, but this cornerback class is extremely deep. I don't think anybody really helped their stock. Even Christian Gonzalez, everybody was still considering him to be a superior product, and you know, it is what it is. But I do think the Steelers love Darnell Wright. They love DeJuan Jones. It really doesn't matter. I just think this offensive line class is really thin. When people start digging into the tape, there's going to be a push for these offensive linemen to go early, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. DeJuan's great. Darnell is great. It really is up for preference. To change things up, though, I love the idea of going DeJuan Jones and developing him for a year under Jakuma Okorafor. Just the only benefit of Darnell is that he can play immediately. Pick number 18. This is going to be Bijan. Well, to be fair, we moved up for Will Anderson. I would love to go Bijan. I want to change things up. I always go Bijan anyway. We are going to be going after Christian Gonzalez, who I think is a perfect fit. Pick number 19. So the Buccaneers can go a plethora of routes. You could go Dalton Kincaid. He's perfectly fine. Really solid player. But I do think Bijan is going to be the man. He's not getting out of the top 20. I think he should go earlier. It's just, how can you stick him to a team any earlier? I mean, if you trade Derrick Henry at pick 11, it makes total sense. But, I mean, I'd feel really bad for Bijan Robinson at that point. But at pick number 20, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba does make a lot of sense here. We ended up trading back and getting Tyree Wilson, so we've already developed that offensive, on like the trenches a little bit. You could go Brian Branch, but I also don't really trust that you guys would be aiming at a safety in round 1. So Jack Smith and Jigba is just that perfect slot weapon. You are just trying to maximize whatever ceiling you have in your team. And we got that extra first round pick. Remember that from the Raiders. And the Raiders do have their own issues. So remember that when you come back tomorrow. But the Raiders did put on Will Levis, who didn't have a really good offensive line. So he could end up succeeding there. But we'll see what happens. With the Chargers, Kalijah Kancey's a great choice here. Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, all great choices. Nolan Smith is still on the board. Oh, that is tough. I love Nolan Smith, man. I love him to death. I really want him to go. I think Brian Branch is going to be the sneaky pick here, though. I think that with the loss potentially of Nasir Adderley, that Brian Branch is a great choice. For Baltimore, I mean, corner's got to be the primary route to go, right? You have to look at them. And I'm just not seeing somebody that the Ravens need to spend this pick on. Wide receiver-wise, you do have some really good choices here, but all of them are kind of slot options, and I don't really see that benefiting your squad. I want somebody like Rashee Rice. I think I said this actually yesterday. I feel like I'm in deja vu here. Cedric Tillman. These guys, Bryce Ford Wheaton, these larger, Xavier Hutchinson, larger receivers that can maximize Lamar Jackson. I think that's just a better move for the franchise. And yeah, man, I really do think that's the best thing that you can do. So for me, I think this might be a good spot to do a trade back. You do have Brian Breezy here. You do have Nolan Smith. You have Adetomiwa Adebaware. You have Kalijah. There's some amazing players here. Jordan Addison as well. And I'm looking at the Eagles, and I mean, they're trying. I can't see the Eagles trading up. I mean, I want them to get their guys so badly, but you have like no day 3 picks. Literally none until the 7th. So it's really frustrating because I really want to just grab that superior prospect. We could go Zay Flowers here, though, because I do think you can get the ball in his hands easier, and he's less of that pure deep threat than Jordan Addison is. We'll go after Zay this round, but please feel free to holler at me and let me know. Pick number 23. I do think Deonte Banks feels like almost a lock at this point to this team because of the fact he tested so well. I'm pretty sure I want to make sure, his weight is impeccable. So definitely the perfect build. You could have definitely seen him there stay in Maryland as well. But, I don't really know if the Ravens need to spend a first-round pick on a corner. Pick number 24. Again, would have been a dream to have Brian Branch go. But, we are in the world that we are in. You could see a tight end here. They did use a franchise tag, of course. Man, Nolan Smith needs to go. He needs to go, man. He's just too talented. It's just not fair. It really is not fair. I really want him to go. Because I really think he should be going in the top 10. It's just so weird. Good players are falling. I think this is a great spot to trade back. You could go Brian Breezy here. You could try to get an offensive lineman. Looking at the guys who are still available, I think Darnell Wright's actually a really good choice. So we'll go after Darnell Wright, kick him into guard, or stick him to tackle, whichever one he fits best at. I don't think I need to explain this one very much, even though he was underwhelming. I think Jordan Addison, at the combine that is, Jordan Addison still is a superstar. Then you got the Cowboys. I honestly kind of a little bit underwhelmed with their choices here. I do think a boundary corner would be great. Cam Smith definitely helped out his stock a lot. Would be a very solid pick, especially since he's shown that he has those skills. I think Tyreek Stevenson, another guy who can totally slip into this range. There are no more offensive linemen on the board, so I don't really think that you could look at Osiris Torrance, but I mean, unless you're the Bills, I don't think you're that desperate. So we're going to be going after Cam Smith here to be that boundary corner, someone who made a big rise because I thought he was going to be 4.5 to 4.6, and he was a pretty solid 4.4, which is great for him. Honestly, I love that for him. Pick number 27, I am going to be going after Osiris Torrance here. I don't think it's a big surprise. I think that's just the right move. You could see another offensive lineman go in this range, but I doubt it. Pick number 29, without the presence of a solid tackle here, I would totally be looking to move out. Again, Dalton Kincaid's here. A lot of people are mad because I'm not taking 3 tight ends in the first round. Like, who the fuck am I going to send a tight end to? Like, maybe here? Like, who else is genuinely looking for a tight end at this point? I don't know. But since people are literally riding it so hard, we will stick to the Dalton Kincaid at that point. Pick number 29, it's going to be Brian Breezy. You guys do need defensive interior, so it makes total sense. Pick number 30 for the Eagles. You have Kalijah or Nolan Smith. I'm going to say screw you, Kalijah, this time. Nolan Smith should not be on the board. He's just too damn good. And I was debating him at freaking 10 overall. So, the fact that he fell is just ridiculous. Of course, it is possible. He's 240. He's going to be scheme specific, and he's coming off a pec injury. So, it is possible. Pick number 31. I'm having a hard time saying no to Kalijah Cansey here. You can use him as an edge rusher as well. Obviously, those arms are super duper short, but I am actually going to deploy another player who is short at 6'2", 280 pounds with 34, not 31-inch arms. As Adita Mita Adebaware running a 4.49 40-yard dash. He's not just a pure edge rusher. He is also someone you can kick to the inside and finally has that type of length. So that's going to be the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out tomorrow for round number 2. See you on the far side.